Hi, my name is Matt and welcome to today's episode. My plan is to sail my 27-foot Maxi Phoenix Little Wing all the way from the Netherlands to Spain in about 3 months. In this video we sail from Gijon to Baiona, along the Galician coast and around Cape Finisterre, formerly known as the end of the world. In the last episode I mentioned that I felt my engine dying on me, and so I went backwards and made for the port of Gijon. There I met a bunch of nice people and stuck around for a few days. Here's to Michel, expat Frenchman, veteran sailor and one of the nicest people I've ever met. To Yolanda, a local nurse with a very big heart, who showed me around the city and the best places to eat. And to Eduardo, who knows boats in and out, and of whom I don't have a photo unfortunately. He was kind enough to check the engine with me and reckoned that there might be water in the fuel or that the tank is dirty. So I checked the diesel for water and opened the flange to the tank. It wasn't spotless, but definitely not that dirty, and neither could I find any water. And so, as soon as the weather got good, I left Gijon early in the morning for another attempt to go to Ribadeo, even though I knew there was still something wrong with the engine, but probably nothing substantial.
Hi! So thankfully my concerns were not necessary. The motor is still running fine so far. It's not as fast as it should be, but at least it works and it doesn't die on me. So far so good. I'm on my way from Gijon, where I started early in the morning today, to Ribadeo, which is already the next province of Spain, Galicia. I was supposed to be there over a month ago, I think, so I'm really late. But hey, the coastline is beautiful and nice. We've got some decent wind, about 14 knots to a little bit over 20 to 23, I think. So, but they're coming from our tail, so that is one of the rare occasions where you would like to have actually quite a little bit of wind, because then it's still very comfortable and easy, but the boat is moving really fast, so that is good. Right now our speed is about 5 knots. The total distance is quite long, I think 60 miles for a day trip, and I hope to arrive there tonight at around 9 to 10 o'clock, just right before it's getting dark. We are almost in Viveiro, which was our trip today from Ribadeo, where I just stayed overnight very briefly. I think it was less than 12 hours, 9 or 10 hours there, I think. Arrived late at night, left early this morning to sail the 30 miles to Viveiro, which is in a ria, which is kind of a fjord. Very nice. There was supposed to be quite a lot of wind, between 10 to even 28 knots or something, but it just didn't happen. I just switched off the engine right now, so it was just running all the time, which is always a bit frustrating. But hey, finally the last 6-7 miles we can sail.
And so we arrived in Viveiro, under a cloudy sky. I stayed just enough to refuel and eat a pizza. Our next destination would be La Coruña.
Hi, it's around noon, 12:30, and we're on our way from Viveiro to La Coruña, which is about 55 miles in a very scenic ride, I have to say. So far we didn't have much wind, but there is a prediction of strong winds as there was yesterday, and they're just picking up right now. So we should be going really nicely. I have 2 reefs in the mainsail just to be sure to not get kicked by the wind too much. And it should get more and more strong during the day. So increasing winds up to I think 28 knots in gusts. So let's see how that goes. So far it's super smooth and nice sailing.
Here you can see the landmark tower of Marina La Coruña. The harbour master was Irish, resulting in an interesting Spanish accent. I stayed just one night and left early in the morning to visit the small town of Camariñas, a place many blue water sailors speak very highly of. They weren't lying. Camariñas is a spectacular place, probably my favorite so far on this trip. The whole scenery looks more like Scandinavia than Spain, but let's have a closer look at the town and the scenery. That same day, I got my hands dirty with my badly running engine. There's no marine mechanic shop in Camariñas, but the local truck mechanic facility was eager to help me. I checked the pre-filter and fuel filter, and boy were they toast. It was so bad I was surprised the engine would run at all. The shop ordered new parts, which arrived on the same day. Amazing. These were truck parts, but they were also 1/3 of the price of the original filters, and according to sailing forums, they are just as good. Check out MAN filters when you do your next filter swap. And so the next day I could leave Camariñas with a good feeling in my stomach, now that the engine was running smoothly and would start up right away. Today I would conquer the mighty Cape Finisterre, although it wasn't that much of an effort, since there was actually no wind.
Hello from Cape Finisterre, the end of the world in Roman times, about 2,000 years ago. So I'm just rounding the cape right now. It's supposed to be rough terrain, but today the weather's presenting itself very nicely. There's absolutely no wind actually, so I'm motoring here with no waves or anything. As you know, I've changed the filters yesterday in the engine, and it runs super smoothly since then. Very nice. It's not a lot quicker than before, but it's running really nicely so far, as we're on our way to Muros, about 35 miles I think from Camariñas. So this cape, there's a lot of wrecks here, of ships that have sunk in here. And I think the most prominent one is called the HMS Captain from 1871, if I'm not mistaken. About 500 British sailors died. That there are many more. So I'm actually happy that I have some nice weather and I can round it in a slightly boring way on the motor. But yeah, definitely a highlight on this trip.
Luckily, later that day there was a little bit more wind, and I could bring out the blister. And then the fog came, and it was here to stay. I left Muros the very next day in dense fog, as you can see here.
Hi. So today it's foggy, very foggy. I cannot see anything. Probably not the very best idea to sail to Baiona today, which is about 42 miles I think, or 45. But yeah, it's gonna stay like this for a few days, so there's actually no point of waiting. And so I did leave this morning at around 9 o'clock. And should be there in about 10 hours, so 7 hopefully, motoring, because of course if there's fog there's no wind. And so what I did, because this is very bleak, is I tried my hands on fishing. My friend Eduardo, a veteran yachtsman from Spain, who I met in Gijon, gave me a little bit of line and some bait, and I actually thought I'd actually catch something, but it's just seaweed. So I think I had the line a little bit too long. So I will try again and see if I can catch something maybe later today. So rig wise, this is what I'm using. This I think is called a blinker, I'm not sure. And it starts spinning once it's in the water. And then if I understood it correctly, I'm supposed to have this lead, this piece of lead, which says 30, so it might be 30 grams, probably 30 grams. It's supposed to be within 1 to 2 meters of the bait. So that's what I did, and then I just have an old piece of rubber from the gun rail to attach it to, and that's kind of what I do. And then I try to have 30 meters of line going out, which is a little bit difficult to measure, and I'll show you how that looks like in a second. So now I should have around 30 to 40 meters of line in the water, which should help the bait to be at a sufficient depth. And then I just put it around this cleat, and I added this rubber band here, which is supposed to dampen the shock if a fish should bite, which I don't really think will happen. This is the first time ever that I'm trying to fish anything, and I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing. But let's see, hey, maybe I get lucky. So I just pointed at the Islas Cias, the Cias Islands, which are supposed to be one of the most beautiful islands in the world, but in foggy conditions you cannot see absolutely anything. So it's really a shame, because this was one of the highlights of the trip, but then otherwise I would lose 3 or 4 days by waiting for better weather, and I'm already super late, so I won't be seeing the Islas, unfortunately. What I use if I see ships coming close by is my old foghorn that came with the boat. It's it works. Sorry for that. I only had to use it once today. The wind has increased and I could at least hoist the sails. And now we're going a little bit faster. That's always nice. And right now I'm just passing a traffic separation zone, which is basically a highway which has 2 directions for ships, and depending on their cargo. So this is of course only for merchant ships. And I do hear a mist horn that is blown every 20 seconds or so. So I'll keep an open eye to not crash into a big freighter or something.
And this is where this foggy episode ends. In the next one, we will go to Portugal and sail along its coast.